Thank you all. On behalf of my whole family, we want to thank the Hall of Fame. It's an honor to stand here and represent. He's an amazing man, husband, father, and artist. And I just want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you.
Now this is a good one. Few artists have had bigger careers than Toby Keith. Outspoken and self-confident, sure was. Keith knew what he had, even when others didn't recognize it. Every time someone undervalued him or sold him short, he turned the slight into motivation and creative fuel for a career that ranks with country's greatest. Born July 8th, 1961, Toby Keith Covel grew up in the suburbs of Oklahoma City, the son of a second-generation oil field roughneck. Young Keith admired artists who could also write their own songs, whether in country, rock, or soul. As he began writing his own, he figured if he could make it as a singer, the songs were good enough to get cuts. Soon, Mercury Records in Nashville head Harold Shedd heard about Keith and traveled to Oklahoma City to see him on his home turf. Shedd signed Keith to Mercury the next day, and 3 of his first 4 singles were the chart-topping "Should Have Been a Cowboy," as well as "He Ain't Worth Listening," or "He Ain't Worth Missing," sorry. "Wish I Didn't Know Now." Both went top 5. "Should Have Been a Cowboy" gave Keith a #1 out of the gate, and his first 20 number one spanning 4 decades. Among country acts, only Merle Haggard and Alan Jackson have written more of their own #1 hits, and if Toby were here, he'd tell you that. After parting ways with Mercury, he took his next album down the street to the recently launched DreamWorks, which was run by his producer, James Stroud. The album's first single, "How Do You Like Me Now," spent 5 weeks at #1, becoming Keith's biggest record to date. Another song, courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, "The Angry American," was written as motivation for members of the U.S. military invading Afghanistan after the September 11th terrorist attacks. Many people tried to portray him as one-dimensional. He wasn't. We know, we've been on the road with him, right? But anyone who knew Keith knew he wouldn't be limited to that. Keith didn't write so much about politics as he wrote about communities. He found in the military and in bars, in bands that travel the highways together. He performed on 11 USO tours, playing more than 200 shows for members of the U.S. Armed Forces. In 2005, Keith launched his own label, Show Dog Records, and pursued his musical vision there for the rest of his life. Keith nearly missed his induction into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame in 2007 when his son's football team, which he coached, took their championship game into multiple overtimes. He went into the New York-based all-genre Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2015 and the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2021. Keith also received the National Medal of the Arts in 2020 and the BMI Icon Award in 2022, among several other industry awards and honors. Keith was diagnosed with stomach cancer in 2021 and died a few weeks ago on February 5th at the age of 62. The man who once sang that, he dreamed about living in your radio, has found a permanent home in the Hall of Fame Rotunda. To accept this honor on behalf of Toby, please join with me in welcoming his son, Stellen Covel, to the stage. Stelen.
I welcome you guys back on here. If you're new, consider subscribing, liking, and also share this video. So in a bittersweet twist, right now we received the news. Actually, this was even published on Toby Keith's official Facebook page that the legendary artist who actually died at the beginning of February, just before the CMA had actually received the voting tally, it's now officially confirmed that the legendary Toby Keith actually is going to into the Music Hall of Fame And of course, it's really very huge news to the family, the fans, and those who really loved Toby Keith, the legend. So the latest Hall of Fame class actually includes hitmakers John Anderson and of course another guitarist, that is James Burton, who were actually revealed on Monday by the CEO of the Country Music Associations, that is Mrs. Sarah Trahern, who explained that the three had been inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. But, she said by the time Toby Keith passed away, he passed away. I remember it was on February 5th, and then he received the voting results. That is a day after in the evening, one day after, or 24 hours after the passing on of Toby Keith. So Trahern said that, she had also woken up to the news, the very devastating news that Toby Keith had passed away. That was on 5th. And then, she was trying to sink in and, of course, letting the news sink into her, very devastated. But then again, one day after she received the news that the legend had actually won and had been inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. She added in her own words that I had no doubt, and of course, we are very much aware that he's smiling down on us, knowing that he'll always be as good as he was once. Of course, this actually takes us to the hit which Toby Keith released, that always remains us, that always remains him, us of him. And, amongst the so many hits, of course, there was, Should Have Been a Cowboy, Do You Like Me Now, Who Is That Man, I Love This Bar, and so many other hit songs. And of course, this actually takes him, it takes him to, and elevates him to a certain level that is so huge. Because we all know Toby Keith wrote most of his songs, or co-wrote most of his songs. And of course, he was the one singing them, voicing them. So it takes him to a certain level, and of course, which is of the huge and legendary status level. So, the Country Music Hall of Fame, I want to congratulate you, of course. I think it was like how Toby Keith said when he was still alive, that it was a matter of time, not a matter of what if or something like that. So it was due to happen. He had to be inducted. It was a matter of time because he really deserved it. So his son, that is Stellen Keith Covel, actually attended the ceremony that was held in Nashville, and he received the award on behalf of the family. And of course, the manager was there. The son said that, his father was always wanting to be inducted, but of course he was calm. He was, very relaxed about it because he knew he had put in all the work and he was supposed to be inducted even in the later future. So it's